I wanted to make a video today on for athletes that are trying to break the 17-minute 3-mile barrier. And I know a lot of you are trying to get 16:59 or faster, and you obviously have the capability. Maybe right now you're at 17:30, or maybe you're at 18 minutes. The 17-minute 3-mile barrier definitely can be broken, but I think a lot of athletes just really have to be aware of knowing that a longer buildup is obviously going to set you up for success. I think the less you rush yourself into getting into sub 17-minute shape, the less stress and anxiety you're going to feel in your preparation. And a lot of times, buildups of 4 to 5 months is a better option versus trying to get in sub 17-minute 3-mile shape in a matter of like 4 weeks. And so you have to focus on your volume. You have to focus on quality over quantity. Some of the key workouts I would focus on if I were you in trying to break a 17-minute 3-mile is doing double the distance of your race. Okay, so for example, if you're trying to run 16:59, I would do 6 1,600 meter repetitions on the track. And I wouldn't do this in like the first 2 to 3 weeks of, say, a 16-week or a 20-week buildup. I would start off, say, doing 3 1,600 meter repetitions, doing those repetitions at threshold effort, so maybe like at 6:06 mile pace or 3:47 kilometer pace on the track, giving yourself 3 minutes of recovery, and then working your way up to a point where you're doing 6 1,600 meter reps, twice the distance. Okay, you're doing 10 kilometers, basically 10 kilometers of reps, starting off, and then working your way up from starting at 6:06, working your way down to around doing those repetitions, those mile reps at, say, around 5:15 to 5:17, or doing your kilometer reps around 3:16 to 3:18, but giving yourself much less recovery in between each one of your reps. So you're starting off, like I mentioned, you're starting off around 6:06 mile pace or around 3:47 kilometer pace, giving yourself around 3 minutes of recovery, but then working to a point where your repetitions are drastically faster, like I mentioned, around 5:15, 5:16 per mile pace, or around 3:15 to 3:17 kilometer pace, but you're only giving yourself around 60 seconds of recovery in between each one of those reps. So the key thing is to improve the body's lactate tolerance. That's the key. You want to be able to get that sub 17-minute 3-mile, that sub 17-minute 3-mile race pace, which is 5:40 pace, or 3:31 kilometer pace, to feel easier for you. Okay, and the key thing is, usually it takes around 3 weeks to 4 weeks for the body to adapt to any stress load you're placing on it. A lot of athletes that are new to the channel may not know that. A lot of regular viewers regularly hear me say that, and I was basically instructed that from Jack Hazen from Malone University, who was my collegiate coach, one of the world's top distance running coaches, and he would always stress to us it takes about 3 weeks to adapt. And that's why when we were doing like repeat, when we were training for cross country, we would do 6 1-mile repetitions. We would start off doing 6 1-mile reps at 85% of our top mile time. So my personal best for the mile is 4:22. So we would usually start from, at least for me, right around 5:05 per rep. And we would do those 5:05 mile repetitions on the grass for 3 weeks. And then after the 3 weeks was completed, we would move to 88% of max heart or of our max time for a mile. So the concept here in getting yourself to running under 17 minutes for 3 miles is to make sure that you're patient with your build up, and you're also aware that it does take about 3 weeks, usually between 3 and 4 weeks, for the body to adapt to the stress you're placing on it. So again, if you're doing those starting off, maybe start off doing 3 to 4 1-mile or 3 to 4 1,600 meter reps, and then working your way up to doing 6 1,600 meter repetitions on the track. That is going to make you dangerous when it comes to running a 17-minute 3 mile on the roads or on the track, because you're doubling the distance. You're doing double the work. Now, again, I want you to make sure to be aware, to start off first adapting to what it feels like to do, say, 3 to 4 1,600 meter reps before you work your way up to doing 6, okay? Because again, you're doubling the distance of what you're aiming to run at, in this case, 3 miles. Long runs is key. Not only running longer, okay, for an athlete trying to run sub 17 minutes for 3 miles, okay, again, that's 5:40 mile pace, so, or 3:31 kilometer pace. So if you can get that long run out to around 10 miles to 12 miles in distance, and running around 6:26 mile pace, or 4 flat kilometer pace, that's high quality running for a long run. But what I don't want you to do if you're training for a 17-minute 3 mile is to get in the habit of running slow and easy every single weekend, okay? That's just going to make you a superior long, slow distance runner. You have to make sure that you're sprinkling in some very fast anaerobic VO2 max type efforts throughout that long run, not throughout the entire long run. You're not going to be able to do that, okay? Not a VO2 max effort. But spend some time running at like your threshold effort, running at 6:06 mile pace or running at 3:47 kilometer pace for the athlete trying to break a sub 17-minute 3 mile. Spend some time running it more toward VO2 max effort, like between 5:36 to 5:40 mile pace, or around 3:29 to around 3:34 kilometer pace. Again, spending some time running at paces you're not going to run for 3 miles, running at paces that are significantly faster than 17-minute 3 mile pace, and then going back into slower, easy, relaxed aerobic paces, 720 to 806 mile pace, or 434 to 502 kilometer pace in that type of effort. So again, you're recovering, but you're not running so aerobic the entire run that you're not really increasing the amount of lactic acid buildup that you need in order to improve your body's lactate tolerance, its ability to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. That's how you run at faster paces. You sustain that goal 17-minute 3 mile pace for a longer period of time. And again, you're not only improving your body's ability to burn fat at faster paces, but you're going to be able to have that glycogen to call upon in the last few kilometers of that 5K race, so that you don't slow down in the critical sections of the race, which is usually around the last mile of the race, or right around the last 2 kilometers of a 5K race. If you want to break a 17-minute 3 mile and you're in the shape to do this, don't try to win the 5K or this 3 mile. If you're running 3 miles or 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, don't try to win or to try to break the 17-minute barrier in the first mile of the race, okay? Get out fast. You can practically sprint the first 200 meters and not build up any lactic acid. So get out quick and then settle into your pace. Again, you need to hold 5:40 for 3 miles, 5:40 mile pace for 3 miles, or 3:31 for if you're running 5 kilometers for the 5 kilometers. So make sure you're not going out at 5:15 the first mile, or 3:10 kilometer pace in the first kilometer. Okay, again, the key thing is to run a negative split. Run the first half of the 5 kilometers, or the first 1.5 miles of the race, a little bit more conservative, and make sure that in that way you can really attack and pick up the pace in the last 1.5 miles, or if you're running 5 kilometers in that last few kilometers of the race. Okay, it's a much better feeling to be passing people than to be getting past and slowing down. So I want you to keep these things in mind in terms of preparing for your 17-minute 3 mile effort. Okay, make sure you're working on your speed. Okay, repeat 400, starting off maybe around doing. I would work your way up to doing around 12 400-meter reps. So doing 3 miles worth of repetitions. Start off slower. Start off doing repetitions at around 124 minute and 24 seconds per rep. giving yourself maybe around 2 minutes, maybe even 2.5 minutes, just depending on how fit you are. And then working your way down to doing those reps, working your way down to doing those reps around 110 to 111, but only giving yourself between 30 seconds to 60 seconds of recovery in between each one of those repetitions. Those are examples of very tough VO2 max efforts. Okay, if you're doing 200 meter reps, work to doing between 10 to 15 200 meter reps, starting off at 42 seconds, and then working your way down to around 35 to 37 seconds per rep. Again, these types of efforts are going to help you recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers. That's going to help you get that sub 17 minute pace to feel that much easier for you, so that again, it's going to feel more like 18 minute 3 mile pace, and then help you to get to a point where you run, say, like 16:55 for 3 miles and get under that sub 17 minute 3 mile goal that you have for yourself. So I hope these running tips are helpful for you in your preparation of breaking the 17 minute 3 mile barrier. Definitely check out the resources below these videos. They're definitely there to help you get to the next level in your training and racing, as well as visit RunDreamAchieve.com. I have a lot of resources there to help athletes that are not only trying to run a sub 17 minute 3 mile, but all the way up to the ultra marathon distances. So I wish you all the best in your training and racing, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.